In this country, as long as the people are separated, it will be more space for making profit and crimes and corruption.
October 2022. The general elections in Bosnia are exacerbating tensions and instability. As always, multi-ethnic parties hope to change the narrative and upset the power of the ethnic nationalists.
Dobar dan. Kandidati naše stranke za predstojeće izbore. Izlazite na izbore, je li tako?
Da, kako
Hoćete nas podržati?
Kako da ne.
Hvala vam puno. Hvala lijepo.
Emina Herdic, the young lawyer, is supporting Naša stranka, our party, pro-European and well-established in Sarajevo.
Naša stranka. Ostale političke partije nam uglavnom nude neke nacionalističke priče, neke ratnohuškačke teme koje su ljudi više siti. I mi smo došli tu da kažemo da ne želimo da pričamo više o tim temama. Upravo zato sam se uključila u ovu stranku, našu stranku, da pokažemo da možemo drugačije i da ova zemlja, naša zemlja, zaslužuje bolju budućnost. Mladi uglavnom gledaju upod. Oni nešto nisu baš zainteresovani, verovatno zbog čitave političke situacije u Bosni i Hercegovini. Hvala lijepo. Poštovanje.
Facing them, the stronger and bigger parties defend the status quo. In East Sarajevo, the part of the capital situated in the Republika Srpska, the local mayor is Dodik's party candidate. During a rally with party activists, he raises fears of a unified state in which the Serbs would become a minority. They could lose their local domination. The whole platform is centered on ethnicity. Other issues are secondary.
I to je onaj koncept koji Bošnjaci zagovaraju. Da imaju centralizovanu jedinstvenu državu u kojoj će jedan čovjek biti jedan glas. Kad je jedan čovjek jedan glas sa 2 miliona Bošnjaka, to znači da oni preglasavaju koncept 2 entiteta i 3 konstitutivna naroda. Kad ga preglasaju, nema ni Republike Srpske.
The Dodik team doesn't rely on fear alone. They also count on the support of powerful allies like Aleksandar Vučić, the president of Serbia, Milosevic's ex-minister of propaganda. In fact, during the campaign, most parties rely on these visits from foreign heavyweights. Turkish President Erdogan regularly visits the tomb of Alija Izetbegović in Sarajevo, a welcome show of support for the SDA, the dominant Bosniak party. The dominant Croatian party, too, the HDZ, counts on foreign guest stars to boost its importance. In Jajce, a small, rather mixed historical town in western Bosnia, Croatian flags are everywhere. Dragan Čović, the untouchable head of the HDZ, has staged his rally with great care. First stop, a mass in a newly built Catholic church. Then comes the day's special guest, Zoran Milanović, the president of the neighboring Croatian Republic, on an express visit from Zagreb, is welcomed in front of the local monument for Croatian veterans. Nationalist and populist, Milanović positions himself as a protector of his Bosnian cousins, supposedly robbed of their rights and their own state entity.
Ja kao predsjednik Hrvatske Republike, kao predstavnik Hrvatske Republike, moderne evropske države, članice NATO-a, članice Europske unije, mogu reći da to Hrvatska neće nikad podržati I ne samo da neće nikad podržati, nego će se energično, svim sredstvima, svim miroljubivim sredstvima boriti protiv toga. Bosne i Hercegovine bez ravnopravnih Hrvata, Bošnjaka i Srba nema.
Ja mislim da Dayton žurno moramo mijenjati. Ne možemo mi sa ovakvim Daytonskim sporazumom i uređenjem svih onih aneksa Daytona, prije svega aneksa 4 koji je Ustav, ići ka Europskoj uniji. Ja osobno sam zagovornik da OHR treba izmjestiti svoje djelovanje iz Bosne i Hercegovine. Mislim da je to trebalo raditi već u zadnjih 5 ili 6 godina. Tako da ja mislim da OHR što prije treba zatvoriti svoja vrata ovdje.
In what other European countries do so many foreign states interfere during elections? With each new crisis, the world frets about whether Bosnia and Herzegovina will survive. But beyond threats and provocations, what makes the country unstable are the very institutions derived from Dayton.
Democracies are based on the principle of individual rights. In the United States, we have Republicans and Democrats. In other countries, there are Greens, maybe there are communists, maybe there are nationalists. The thing about Dayton is it enshrines not a liberal democracy based on individual rights, but an ethnocracy based on group rights. There are many people, especially in the Muslim Croat Federation, who do not view themselves as ethnic actors, who want to engage in politics, who may be interested in climate change, who are interested in other forms of civil rights and not only ethnic rights.
Civil society has been fighting for years for more democratic institutions. But to change the constitution, one needs the support of elected officials. Many members of the parliament and the presidency who base their careers on just these ethnic identities see little interest in that.
Every now and then you have a political actor who is interested in crossing ethnic lines, but they don't have institutional incentives to cross ethnic lines, to seek the votes of people outside of their ethnic group. When you have politicians who moderate, you have more extreme political actors outbidding the moderate political actors, saying, you are not sufficiently representing our group. We are the true representatives of this group. And so in the end, you have, as a result of these institutions, we have politicians tending to push toward extremist views.
This type of fragile ethnic-based regime, Bosnia, but also Lebanon, Iraq, Afghanistan, often need long-time support from the international community. To arrive at these conclusions, Lise Howard questioned numerous diplomats involved in the Dayton Accords.
When I was interviewing people about the process, it surprised me the extent to which they actually agreed with this analysis. And Richard Holbrooke himself, in his memoir, expressed an expression of regret that the American negotiators simply adopted of this rigid ethnic idea without reflecting on it, particularly what it would mean for the long run in Bosnia. The Dayton Accords tend toward crisis, but it's not just Dayton. It's actually all regimes that are set up this way. They tend toward immobilism, and they tend toward an inability to come to political decisions.
No one knows if another agreement would have been possible while putting an end to the massacres. But 30 years later, the Dayton legacy is heavy.
Iako smo mi svi, ja osobno sam nosio tu gorčinu jer sam znao zapravo šta je u suštini stvari. Dobit ćemo mir i tako dalje, ali ostaćemo u političkom ratu i ostali smo evo do dana današnjega.
If Bosnia wants to become an EU member, it will also have to eliminate all discriminations against those who identify as neither Serb, nor Croat, nor Bosniak. Jakob Finci is Jewish. Several times since 2009, he has filed with other minority leaders a complaint before the European Court of Human Rights. Each time, the court in Strasbourg has condemned Bosnia. But these decisions have never been enforced.
Tako da su na ovim izbornim sistemom nekoliko stotina hiljada građana Bosne i Hercegovine onemogućeni u svom pravu da budu birani u najviše organe. Očito je da se svi drže Ustava kao pijan plota, kako se kaže na našem jeziku. Jednostavno, svi se boje da uđu u neke promjene jer ne znaju kako će se te promjene odraziti na njihovu sadašnje učešće u vlasti.
In Brussels, the EU remains worried by Bosnia's troubled situation. A spillover of the war in Ukraine has been avoided, but for Tineke Strik, a Dutch MP and Balkans expert, the structural reforms needed for the country to join the EU are still a long way off.
The most important thing, of course, is that the political leaders really want this accession. If they have an interest in the status quo, because of the corruption, because of keeping their own power, we will never get there. The 14 key priorities that were set as clear conditions to Bosnia-Herzegovina, actually none of them has been met. I think the political gesture is good, but now they need to show that they are ready to perform.
The European MPs have invited the High Representative to explain his reforms, which have sometimes been strongly criticized in Brussels and Berlin. This session takes place behind closed doors. Christian Schmidt defends himself.
Was passiert eigentlich, wenn das geostrategisch interessante, zersplitterte Südosteuropa, wenn das keinen Zugang zur europäischen Integration findet? Wer greift dann nach dem Vakuum, das da ist? Wer hier geht, wer den Dayton-Vertrag sozusagen einrollen würde, der muss wissen, dass er ein Vakuum erzeugt, das geostrategisch richtige Konsequenzen haben kann, denn dann wäre das freies Feld für manche andere destruktive Intervention.
The EU remains by far the largest economic partner of the Balkans. The problem is that politically, the divisions of Bosnia are also present in the European Parliament.
It's very visible in the European Parliament that there are different groups. If you look at the Croats, for instance, no matter which party, they all support the Croatian efforts to intervene in Bosnia-Herzegovina. It's cross-party nationalistic support. So I think this is really a toxic cocktail, and we need to have more unity in the EU in order to combat the foreign interference from third countries. If we are already split, and we are in this way actually fueling the division between the three groups in Bosnia-Herzegovina, how will we be successful in combating the influence of Mr. Putin, for instance, or Turkey, or China? I mean, there are so many who make advantage of this chaos and this empty landscape. I think the EU really has the obligation to serve those people and not the political leaders with their own self-interest.
Milorad Dodik and his friends have good reasons to be pleased. The October 2022 elections, featuring results of a Byzantine complexity, have strengthened his party. And a highly criticized electoral reform imposed by Christian Schmidt worked in favor of the Croats of the HDZ. To make matters worse, Dodik has staged his yearly march of the Republika Srpska, still unconstitutional, not in Banja Luka, but in East Sarajevo, just opposite the country's capital.
Sretan dan Republike Srpske. Ovo je Republika Srpska. Republika mira, okupljana, Republika slobode. Republika koja nikome ne prijeti I nikome ne želi zlo.
Politically, the country is still blocked. Dodik keeps trying to impose his secessionist laws, which the High Representative continues to suppress. Days before his parade, Dodik even gave Vladimir Putin a Medal of Honor, 1 year after Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Ja ću nastaviti uvijek da se sretnem sa predsjednikom Putinom. Mi smo ovdje mala zajednica. Republika Srpska ima 1 milion ljudi. Ako mi sada prihvatimo sve ono što Zapad sada hoće od nas, da uvedemo sankcije, da ne damo Putinu odlikovanje, izgubili bi prijatelje koji se zovu Rusi i ne bi mogli da imamo nikakvog pristupa Savjetu bezbednosti Ujedinjenih nacija.
Alltså han kan deklarera självständighet hur många gånger han vill för Republika Srpska. Men ett land blir självständigt när det erkänns av andra länder. Och det finns inget land överhuvudtaget som är beredd att erkänna ett självständigt Republika Srpska. Framförallt, och de tydligaste är ju då Belgrad. Därmed är detta någonting som Dodik ägnar sig åt av inrikespolitiska skäl så länge han är kvar vid makten. Det vet vi inte hur länge det är.
Some suspect the nationalist parties of deliberately sabotaging the institutions, in the hope that the state of Bosnia will one day collapse on its own. Meanwhile, its citizens, Bosniaks, Croats, Serbs, and others, yearn for a normal country. Over the past 10 years, emigration has been massive.
As a citizen, as I already said, it's frustrating, it's demotivating. Nobody cares about ordinary citizens. Everyone talks about national interests, legitimacy of peoples, constitutional issues, etc. And nobody's talking about everyday problems, about the economy. But at the same time, I do love this country and I want to do whatever I can to change the situation, to basically have some kind of hope that there's a chance for things to change.
Još jedna paprikica. I had few times very bad moments and I was thinking to leave. At this moment, hundreds of young people are leaving Bosnia. I'm not sure if I'm gonna leave, but I'm pretty sure that Sara will travel the world. Tako da ćemo to.
Everywhere in Bosnia and Herzegovina, villages are being abandoned. Since 2013, more than 1 in 5 inhabitants have already left the country. At this rate, soon only the elderly will remain. In Ukraine, local diplomats have already made clear they don't want any peace agreement that resembles the Dayton Peace Accords.